Hey guys, what's going on? So they just announced 28.1, and it is much better than I thought it was going to be, which is why I haven't talked about balance changes, because there was a part of me that thought that the balance changes were going to be the only thing to talk about in 28.1. And in terms of balance changes, I'll go through this really quick because I don't really have a lot of thoughts, other than to say that I understand that Scrapper and Gunslinger are getting nerfed and Dryad is getting buffed, and that isn't going to do what you think that it's going to do. All of a sudden, people aren't going to stop using Gunslinger and Scrapper and switch to Dryad, if that was your question. They're still going to use Gunslinger and Scrapper, and Dryad decks are just going to be a little bit better now. There's no reason that a person that was running Scrapper would switch to Dryad, even if it is as much better as it is now. The simple idea of being able to control your field and the levels and not getting stuck is too good for most decks. It's why Scrapper is the preferred thing to do. They could change it to like you only get a single upgrade, double upgrades don't even exist anymore, triple upgrades don't even exist anymore, and you need to eat 10 things, and people would still use Scrapper. People would still not use Dryad. They would use, and if they did use Dryad, they would use Dryad and a Zeus. And anybody who didn't have a level, whatever Zeus where you get upgrade tiles, they would still just use Scrapper because it's just that good. It could do literally nothing else and be the worst that it could possibly be, and people will still use Scrapper because it is better. Trying to get your field from level 5, 6, and 7 with 7 different units, because even if you're running 4 units, let's say you're running a Spirit Master deck and you're just like, oh, I just care about my 4 Spirit Masters. No, you don't. You care about your 2 Knight statues. You care about your Gunslinger, because all of those also need to be leveled up. So you're leveling up 7 things, and to try to Dryad your way to 5, 6, and 7 on 7 things is insane. You would just use Scrapper because it would still just be good. So that is not going to change. And the big change from all of the balance changes that I saw is definitely going to be the Fire Lions, the Red Lions, the Blazing Burns, the Red Guys. I'm going to talk about that in a second. We'll get to that. But the Blazing Burns. So in case you don't understand what Red Guys are, if you've never watched any of my videos, it's this guy. I call them Red Guys. For a while, I refused to learn their name. It's technically called Blazing Burn. People call them Fire Lions. These guys are going to be an absolute menace with the next patch. With death waves, with the waves becoming harder, because now you're getting double bosses and triple bosses. Prior to death waves, and then death waves is just going to be harder just in general. Blazing Burns is the real big balance change that they made. Blazing Burns, they basically hit a unit if they get destroyed, or if they don't get destroyed. If they don't get destroyed, then it's even worse for you, because then it just keeps spitting out fire and leveling down units. But even if it gets destroyed instantly, it still sends out a fire. I feel like they might change that. Now that they've changed now that they've changed what I'm about to say, I feel like maybe they'll change it, but maybe they won't, because they want the game to be harder, and this definitely makes it harder. There are so many Blazing Burns that you get per game. Just go into a game, you can even go into replays, go into a 3-minute death wave game right now and count the amount of Blazing Burns, and know that each of those equal 1 level down, just because your opponent's not playing Shaman, your opponent is not playing Necromancer, your opponent doesn't have Pocket Curse, just Blazing Burns by itself. Just the amount of leveling down, even if you were to instant kill a Blazing Burn and it only gave you the minimal 1 level down, just count the amount of Blazing Burns in a 3-minute death wave game. The reason why they're changing this is because currently Blazing Burns don't do anything. every deck is running Gunslinger and Scrapper. And if you move a unit affected by a Blazing Burn, it cures it. So even though Gunslinger doesn't have Cleanse, it kind of has Cleanse, because this is the only kind of cleanse that you really cared about. Your opponent could, if your opponent was not playing Toxic, this is also not Toxic. This is also not doing anything to anything. It's just it becomes just a regular unit because you can immediately cleanse it by moving something with your Gunslinger. Or if your Scrapper gets hit, if you use that Scrapper to eat something, your Scrapper gets cured. If you're using Riding Hood, it does the exact same thing. They're changing it to where that isn't the case anymore. And I feel like this might be the biggest actual change, because it's something that's going to start affecting your field a lot more than you'd think. Like maybe early on in the game, you don't think that something going from 2 to 1 is that big of a deal. But it could have been, if you had it at 2, it could have been a 3 now when your Scrapper hits it. And now it's going to be a 2 if your Scrapper hits it. And that problem is just going to compile, because with the nerf to Scrapper, and needing to eat one more unit to be able to get a Scrapper hit, the fact that triple quota is now 30% instead of 50%, you're going to have less triple hits. With that fact added to the fact that they changed how Blazing Burn works in the interaction with Scrapper and Gunslinger and Riding Hood, it's going to be much harder. It's like your games are going to be much harder. And there's an idea that Mermaid could become better. But if you have to understand that if you are going to run Mermaid as protection, you're sacrificing the damage that you could be getting out of Gadget or out of Fortuna or out of Zeus or out of, just all these other things, out of Amari, right? But I want to talk about that now. If that was the only part of 28.1, if that was the only patch that we've gotten in 2 months, because the last time that we got anything was December. December was when Phoenix and Reincarnations came out. Nothing in the entire month of January, which is insane to me. This could have been all of the balance changes could have been a January patch. All of that could have been done mid-January. They could have been teasing that in mid-January. I think they've done this to me before, where I felt that they overstuffed a patch and left an entire month of nothing, and they could have balanced that out into 2 separate months, and then we would have been excited about 2 separate months of content. But they decided to do literal nothing in all of January, when they could have just have easily thrown all of these balance changes into that and made 29 or 28.1 all of this, and it would have been fine. But instead, you're getting a mega patch. And so this is it. It's going to be all of those balance changes and then all of this that I'm going to talk about right now. Festival of Talents is back. This is just going to be a new unit. It's kind of crazy to me that in December we got Phoenix, January nothing, and then February new unit. That seems kind of crazy. I don't think we need new units in this game, but I understand that new units are the thing that make them money. Assuming that this is a new best DPS unit, you already know how I feel about that. And assuming that it's a support unit, I think that that's a good change. I hope that this is a support unit. I don't want it to be yet another DPS unit that is better than Phoenix, just so that they can kick out Genie, even harder. But I could see that as well. They super nerfed the Genie deck. They nerfed Scrapper, Gunslinger, Fortuna. They already had a nerf to Genie. I think they did a second nerf to Genie, with that patch. I can't remember. So they super nerfed the Genie deck, because Genie is now in Laboratory of Experiments, which makes it a free-to-play unit. And you can't have a free-to-play unit being as good as your Reincarnation 3 DPS unit Phoenix, right? And so if they make this, if Kobold is a DPS unit, I think that's a bad choice. If it's a support unit, I think that's a good choice. And so I guess we'll see. I really like the idea that they did Gunslinger as an event unit. I don't think it needed to be an event unit. That's an entirely different conversation. It could have been Portal Keeper Talons, right? Everybody was like, why couldn't this just be Portal Keeper Talons? Because it's essentially a Portal Keeper, and now Portal Keeper is obsolete. There's no reason for Portal Keeper to even be in the in the game anymore. But they didn't, and they made it a super good event unit, but as a support unit. And I think that a support unit, if their idea is to make money, I think that a unit that everybody wants to get, regardless of whether or not you're chasing the best DPS unit, and you feel like you have a good enough DPS unit, like I have a Spirit Master and a Treant. I have good enough event units. I have like a Tesla, right? I have good enough event units. I don't need a Phoenix. I don't need a Bard. I don't need a Genie, right? I feel like the units that I have are good enough. They are not the best, but I don't feel the need to keep chasing the best, right? Because that's just an endless cycle. But Gunslinger, I was willing to make an exception for, because Gunslinger is a unit that's good for everybody. It's good for every deck. And I feel like if they wanted to make more money, support units would be the way to go in terms of event units. Not all the time, obviously. You can't just keep replacing all of the support units, but a deck uses so many support units that it would be beneficial to them to do more support units than to just change out the best DPS unit, because they're all the best DPS unit. A Bard is good, a Genie is good, a Treant, if you have a Zeus, is good, Phoenix is good, like it's all interchangeable. And so somebody, you know what it's like? It's like having a new phone. It's like when they keep releasing a new phone and you're like, does it do that much more than my old phone? And if the answer is no, and it's basically the same, yeah, it might be a little bit faster. It might have 2 more mechanics, right? It's a little bit better. It is technically better, but it's like, my phone is fine. Like I don't need to change this. It does what I want it to do, right? And that's how I feel about DPS units. And so if it's a DPS unit, I'm gonna be sad about that. But if it's a support unit, I think that's a win for them. Changes to Clan Wars. This has been something that we've been wanting for a while, and it negates the reason for a reset clan. If you don't already know, a reset clan is essentially a clan where you're required to stay up for whenever the reset time is, so that your entire clan can do all of your battles at the same time as soon as the reset hits, and then you're able to, when all the other clans that you're facing are asleep, because it's a weird time of day, whether it be in the afternoon or like the early morning. My reset clan, I think, was at like 3 a.m. my time. And so I had to wake up at 3 a.m. to do my battles. And then we basically just immediately won. And, like most people, like when I would normally wake up at like 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock or whatever, that's 5 hours of time that a clan could technically do their battles. And then now all of a sudden, now you're doing your battles at 9 o'clock, sometime between like 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock that night, right? That's your cycle of day. And that's time that's being wasted when you could do it immediately. If your clan was a quote unquote reset clan. The change is that it's all going to be points. And you'll have to complete clan quests, earning as many glory points as possible. And you're raising your clan's hot air balloon. So it's now a point-based system as opposed to a time-based system. It's not about like who earns the most, who gets to the points the fastest. I think it's going to be total amount of points. So as opposed to like who can get 50,000 the fastest, it's who can earn the most points total. And that kind of change allows the clan to just do better as opposed to just waking up earlier in order to be the fastest. And that's the biggest change. And I think this is a really good change. It's something that we've been asking for a while. So there's no reason for a reset clan anymore. You can just do your battles or do your quests at any point. And as long as you win, that is what's important. That is like winning becomes more important than doing it quicker, than doing it earlier, than waking up earlier just to do all of your battles as quickly as you can. And so I think that this is good. They're taking out spells and defenders, and then they're going to re-implement them in some other way. I think that's fine because they need to revamp that system anyway. In its current state, it literally doesn't matter. Spells don't normally matter. There's like 3 spells that kind of matter. The attack spell, the defense, or and the defense spell. The stone spell doesn't matter as much because of Mermaid. And so most of the time it'll just do nothing, and not a lot of people run Dark Inquisitor anymore for that to matter. And so it's really just the attack spell and the defense spell, and everything else just doesn't even matter. So I think the fact that they're going to revamp the defenders never mattered. And I think that the fact that they're going to revamp that into some new form, I like that change as well. Dragon Rift change, I like this as well. If your crit damage level is too high and you want to get to the dragon faster without wasting extra time, a team of Vikings will come to the rescue. For a certain fee, they'll clear the entire floor up to the dragon, collecting artifacts and gold for you along the way. However, those warriors are not the most diligent, so when using speedrunning, you will be getting less gold than you would be going through all the tiles yourself. Now, I have 2 thoughts about this. One, I like it. As a person who doesn't care about gold and I just want to get to the dragon in order to get the 200 celestial shards on floor 3, I don't care about. I'm literally using it as a time waster. If you want my thoughts on Dragon Rift, I just did a video titled "Where's the Essence?" You can go watch that. So I won't go into that side of Dragon Rift. But if I had the ability to pay to get to the end faster, I would do it. Now, here's my stipulation. If it's gems or if it's straight up money, I'm not going to do it. What would be funny is if it was gold. If you have so much gold and you could pay gold to get to Dragon Rift, to the dragon faster, so that you can earn celestial shards quicker, oh, I'm all about this change. I am 100% all about this change. Because that would be so funny. An entire mode dedicated towards getting gold, right? And as a advanced player, when you have too much gold, you can use gold to get to the celestial shard. Even if it's a lot of gold. I don't even care. If it was 1 million gold to get to the celestial shard, like instantly, and then it just resets you back, like after you beat the dragon, it resets you back to the beginning, and then you could pay 1 million gold to get 200 celestial shards, I would do it. Now, if it's gems or if it's money, I don't think this is a good change and nobody would use it. Nobody will use it because there's no point. At that point, it's better to just wait and eventually just farm it. At that point, it'll just feel like a cash grabby way for pay to win players, people who are willing to pay into the game to get celestial shards faster. And if that's the case, I don't think it's a good change because it won't do anything. I think normal people will not do it. But if it's gold, and if this is a way to sink gold into this game, for players that have an excessive amount of gold, I think it's good. But again, we'll see. I don't know. Magic orbs. This is yet another really good thing. You can get orbs in the experiment again. Orbs received this way can be stored over the limit, which is good. There was an idea that if you were trying to save for a Phoenix or for a Kobold, there was no way to save orbs because there was a limit. and there's no reason for there to be a limit, but they made a limit. If you just keep using Experiment Lab, you can go over the limit. So if you are trying to save up for the newest event unit as opposed to upgrading your current ones, you can do that. And I think that that's a good change for those people. I also think that it's just straight up a good change that they're adding experiments. They're adding orbs to experiments again, because currently I have so many things upgraded. I was just trying to upgrade to the level 3, or to 3 copies, so that when I get Celestial Shards here, 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 I can immediately upgrade those, but I'm not willing to go beyond that. I'm not trying to set up like, oh, how many copies do I need to make my Blade Dancer level 3 celestial, reincarnation, right? I think that saving that amount that'll hold me over for quite some time with my 180 celestial shards. So I was starting to run out of things to put into Laboratory of Experiments. I have a monk in there, a frost. I was like, I guess I'll farm a genie. I guess my robot is almost a 15. I had a lot of like, I guess things in here. And so when this change occurs, both changes will happen. And so when you see that you can put magic orbs back into here is when the second change of the Glutton chest now has a high chance of offering you a choice between an orb and a legendary card. However, if you've reached the orb limit, the chest will only drop legendary cards. I think that is also a good change. Now that you can only use rune keys as a for Glutton chests, magic orbs are obviously going to be the premium currency that this is going to now allow you to get it more frequently. So putting it back into Laboratory of Experiments is really good. Putting it as a quote unquote higher chance in Glutton chest is going to be very good. And I like both of those changes. Any way to get more magic orbs in this game is going to be good. If you are struggling on magic orbs, I would recommend saving 500 gems every single month in order to do the maximum amount of exchanges. So you do all 5 of your free ones, and then over the course of that month, get 5 legendaries from going up to 7k trophies, and then sacrificing 5 more for 5 more orbs, and getting essentially 10 orbs every single month from exchanges, and then getting 2 orbs from the 7k shop, and then getting the orbs if you're paying for the pass. You have to maximize your the amount of orbs that you're getting because orbs, you need so many to upgrade anything. I can double upgrade my my summoner to 15 right now, but I need 14 orbs. The gunslinger. You need 7 orbs and then 8 orbs. You need 15. I need 15 orbs just to upgrade my summoner, to double upgrade my summoner. I could be upgrading this monk. I could be upgrading this Harley Quinn a whole lot of times. I could be upgrading this Banshee. I could be upgrading this Frost. I could be upgrading. There are so many things that you could be upgrading. And you need just so many orbs. And so maximizing the amount of orbs that you can get per month in a different way other than everything that I just told you by adding it back into the Laboratory of Experiments and then theoretically getting it from a Glutton chest, I think that's a good change as well. And then the last change, which I also think is good, changes to the web market. Nobody went to the web market per day, and that was what their testing showed. You had the ability to get a new bell. If you go to the web market, it's free. You just have to go to it. I chose not to do that, apparently, along with a lot of other people. And so instead of doing it once per day, you're getting 10 at once. And it'll tell you when you can do it. And I think that's a good change. Because I will definitely go to the store once a month. Or what is it? Yeah, once a month and collect 10 bells at once. I'm not going to do it once per day, or however often it was. I don't even know how often it was, but I will gladly go once per day. Somebody brought up in the comments, like, why don't you just have it? Why don't you just send it to us? And the entire reasoning is so that they can promote their My Games store. Part of me thinks that the reason why they're doing it is because when you make in-app purchases through Google, I'm pretty sure they probably have to give a percentage to Google. That's how that would work. But if you buy it from the My Games store, because this is all digital currency and there is no inherent value anyway, they can give you a discount. They can give you a couple more crystals because they're getting the full amount of money from you. And I think that that's the whole reason for doing it. And that makes sense. And that's why they would want to promote going to the My Games store and buying all of your in-app purchases there. And so it's one of those, like, why wouldn't you do that if they're giving you extra stuff? Like, why would you choose to not get extra stuff when you could be getting extra stuff? So, and you can support content creators. You can support, I don't know, whoever your favorite content creator is. Not me. But other people. I don't know. But theoretically, you could do that as well. And so, I think that all of these changes are good. For the most part, I think all of these changes are good. I think that, we have to see what Kobold is going to be. I think the balance changes are going to make your times a lot less. So if you were getting like 6 minutes into Death Waves and you start getting 3 minutes into Death Waves, or if you were getting 3 minutes into Death Waves and now you can't even pass Wave 8, expect that. Expect that that's what's going to happen, because like I said, the Blazing Burn is going to be a menace. I think that it's going to be it's going to change the game much more than you think it is. And that change was very big. Along with all the other changes. But I think that change is very subtly going to make the game a lot harder. So yeah, I don't have to do my Momo Royale style 30 days of meaningless videos. That's exciting for me. And I will just continue making content about this wonderful game called Survival Arena. Make sure you play Survival Arena. And it's really fun. And it's the same game. It's literally the same game. Make sure you play Survival Arena. It's so fun. And it's free to play. The best free to play game out there. Survival Arena. Go play it.